Welcome to the Grace and Truth podcast. This is the podcast of Grace Resurrection Methodist Church here in Marietta, Georgia. I'm Julia Curran, our Communications Director, and I'm honored to be sitting here today with Bubba Cooper and Lee Thrasher. They are the co-chairs of our men's group. In the interest of full disclosure, we're getting used to doing a podcast. We're thrilled that in the last 30 days or so, we've already had 200 downloads, which is really great for a small church. But this is our second round. And they did such a great job 3 days ago that we wanted to make sure we captured it. We had a little audio blip, and we don't want any blips in our podcast. So we thought we would come back and make sure we cover all men's group topics. So Bubba and Lee are the co-chairs of our men's group, which is our men's ministry, which has been so incredibly successful here at Grace. So I wanted to ask you guys, how come this has been so successful? What do you think?
Lee, you better go first.
Julia, I would say once we got it started, it's participation of the men in the church. I mean, the fact that they're willing to support us, to come to the meetings. We started out, it's been almost 3 years now. We were averaging, in the mid-30s, and now we're averaging, high 40s into the 50s per meeting. We meet once a quarter. So, I mean, the participation has been great. And not to mention the fact we've had fantastic speakers in the programs that have been delivered, and I think that's a huge draw also.
So why don't we back up a little bit, and one of you tell me, how did this start? Here we are, a small little church. We start with like 40 members. We grow to 140, 180, 200, and it really took off. But at what point did the men's group start, and how did that happen?
I got a phone call when I was sitting in the parking lot at LA Fitness. And Lee, you can tell where that phone call originated.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the wife of our retired minister, our pastor emeritus, Randy Meikler's wife, Diane, approached my wife and said, "Do you think Lee and Bubba would chair a men's group?" And Susan said, "I don't know. I'll ask him." And so she asked me, and I was kind of stunned and shocked a little bit, because it's not like I came, from a church that I was, we were chairing a men's group that had 1,000 guys or something like that. So this was going to be all new to us. And so we thought, Bubba and I talked about it. And we said, why not? Sounds great. We'll just dive right into it. And if we mess it up, nobody will know the difference, because it doesn't exist today.
So were you guys good friends and they approached you because of that? Or how did you end up working together? How'd you end up here at Grace?
Yeah, there is a back channel story to this.
Okay.
So from 1984 to 1989, Bubba and I were next door neighbors in a subdivision, and got to know each other really well, good friends, did a lot together. My girls were small at the time. His firstborn came along during that period of time. And so, and then we moved away and sort of lost touch, and we saw each other on occasions over that 40-year time period, but nothing like living next door to each other. And so my wife and I here at church one Sunday, I think it was the second time we came, and we're sitting there, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw this gentleman walk by, and I looked up, and it was Bubba. And I went, "Oh my goodness." And I punched Susan. I said, "Susan, that's Bubba Cooper." Not only did he walk by and turn, he sat right in front of me on the pew in front of me, and I punched him in the back, and we got up, and it was all hugs and kisses. It's been that way ever since. So.
No, it really has been great. And Lee, you mentioned something in our last podcast that unfortunately is not going to air, but you had said there was a reason that we connected.
Yes.
And I think part of that reason may be this men's group.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
This was not a freak of nature. This was not, just an accident. I mean, there was a reason we came back together. There's no question in my mind that there was a reason we came back together. And I think the men's group is a large part of it, and just being part of this church is a big part of it also.
So I'm a mom of two boys. And I think it's kind of tough to be a man right now, or a young man, or a any age man, and also to find relevance and to just find a community. So many of our relationships have moved on to online communities, and now studies show that just doesn't cut it. It doesn't do it for you. So in what way have you found this men's group is supporting the men of the church? What do they need that you guys provide?
I don't think we started out thinking what purpose can we serve other than just getting these guys together. One of the things you ask is what has made this men's group successful, and if we've had any success at all, I think it's because we have a welcoming environment, that we don't take ourselves too seriously. We do take the ministry very seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. So I think we, create a welcoming environment. Everybody's welcome, but to Lee's point earlier, I think one of the reasons if we've had some success is because this group of men is a reflection of the energy and enthusiasm, that takes place, every Sunday between 11 and 12. And it really, truly is, I think, a very vivid reflection of that energy and grace and enthusiasm that we have there, and it's just brought to the men's group, in the way of men's fellowship.
Absolutely.
So, you're right. We, funny enough, I don't know if it's the Wesleyan bent or Methodism or what have you, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. We take our faith seriously. But I guess, a lot of the world now can be dark, can be worrisome. And what I've noticed covering your men's events and trying to stand in the back and not be the girl in the room is there is a lot of joy and humor and lightness. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, when we got started, Bubba and I, we sat down and had many lunches and talked about, how to get this started, what we wanted to do. And the bottom line, we said, we want this to be what the guys want it to be. And we're not going to go into this with any forethought that says it's got to be this way. It's nothing etched in stone. We'll have a couple of meetings. We'll throw it out on the table. We'll talk about, if you were in men's groups before, share some stories with us. Tell us what you did, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. And then we'll shape this, but we want it, this is your group. This is not Bubba and Lee's group. This is your group. We want it to be a group that you're happy with and that you can come and look forward to being here, see the guy, even though you see him at church on Sunday, we get together, once a quarter, and it's our time together to have a meal, listen to a speaker, share some time together. We laugh. We talk about things we want to do. I always tell a joke at the end of the session. That's just me. And so it's just a good time. But, it's being a Christian is not it's not a downer thing. I mean, we do have a good time. We have a lot of fun.
So you're also, you've added a couple programs. Well, I guess I have two questions. One is, talk to me a little bit about the speakers you've had who have been extraordinary. Right. You've done it, and I feel like that's a little bit of a God moment that those people have come here. And then let's make sure we don't forget that you're doing the breakfasts too.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about your speakers.
Well, we really have had some great speakers. Our very own Ron Maston, he was a prisoner of war in Vietnam for over 6 years. And he spoke to us about that story, and I don't think there was anybody that wasn't moved by that. We had Rabbi Daniel Dorsch next door come in and speak about a lot of the shared values that our Jewish brothers and Christian brothers and sisters have in common. And I think most recently we had, let me go back to another one that really kind of stunned me. Ron Greer, who is pastoral counselor at Peachtree Road Methodist Church, he's also an author, and we were talking, he said, well, what do you want me to talk about? And he said, well, I was thinking about infidelity. And I went, Ron, you can talk about anything you want to. I said, but just keep in mind, I'm the youngest member in this group, so I'm not sure that topic is going to have a lot of relevance. He said, oh, okay. I said, but I did hear you speak on kindness one time. So that's what he spoke. I thought, oh, my gosh, he's speaking of kindness all these guys. It was fantastic.
It was. Personally, I felt like he was talking to me the whole time. I was so drawn into him as he was speaking. And now you have to remember, Ron, being the Methodist minister he's from the old school, and he talks like like God is great, and he's got that Methodist, twang. I mean, that voice, that deep booming voice that ministers were taught when in seminary, and I was just truly drawn into his story. It was great.
Didn't you have someone that was getting the men to kind of talk and share about some of their difficult times or whatever?
Was James in January.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
it was our senior pastor.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, he did something interesting in our group. He invited everybody around the table, to each table, to share with the members of the table, some particular happening in their life that was very personal, that was challenging, that may even be something they hadn't shared with anybody else. And again, that was, tell you how prophetic I am, or pathetic. I thought, this is going to go nowhere.
Yeah.
Our table opened up.
Sure did.
To this day, I'm praying for those guys at our table, that shared some very, heartfelt, intimate feelings that, they wanted to get out and have someone join them in prayer for.
Yeah. I actually heard from another man about that night too, and he was saying that it made everybody really human.
Yes.
And actually, it also, I mean, our senior pastor was fairly young in the game here for us at that time too, and I believe he shared things that also made him very human too.
Right.
And I guess maybe that's something I see with you guys is you're very human and you're willing, to share whatever you're going through, whatever others are going through. Just be raw and real and transparent. So I think that's.
And I would say, Julia, what you just described is exactly how these individual speakers have addressed our group. I mean, they had some marvelous, fascinating stories to tell. As I mentioned in our last gathering, it was the consistent theme from all of them was, it was coming out of the darkness of tragedy into the light and into God's arms and grace. And everybody that spoke to us, with the exception of one that was our county commissioner, their story paralleled that. It was going from tough times, picking yourself up, moving forward, and embracing your faith, embracing God, and knowing that that there was that the light was there, the path was there, and to follow it. So it's been fascinating.
Yeah, it's been really inspirational from the ones that I've seen, which is interesting because some of those topics have been very dark. Mm-hmm. But lest we not forget, 2 years ago, I think we tried to shoot a video of you guys, a little promo video, and you couldn't even get through it without cracking up and laughing.
That's right.
So there's great chemistry there that I think balances these serious topics. Did you want to add something?
No, I was just going to say, I was going to go back to one of the things that we were talking about as far as the speakers are concerned, and the interaction that those speakers have with the group. I'm sure Lee can say the same thing. I think every one of the speakers that we've had has come up to me either immediately after the session or in a phone call or an email saying, you have something really special going on here. He said, I don't know how to describe it, but there's something going on here that's pretty unique. He said, Brian Greer, he says, I talk to men's groups all the time. He says, there was an energy here. There was something really special going on here that I can't really describe, but you guys shouldn't be taking that for granted.
And
great.
Mike Frost did the same thing.
Yeah, he did.
Completely. Wow. Yeah, it was great.
That's great. Can you talk a little bit about the men's breakfast that you started?
Yeah, that was just, I thought about it, and I figured it'd be nice to get together, away from the church, have a casual setting, do something where we could draw men in, to just continue our fellowship, talk, have a meal. And if there was an ulterior motive involved, it was maybe to get those gentlemen that aren't coming to the men's group on a regular basis or have never been to come to a breakfast, to come meet some of the guys in the breakfast, and hopefully draw them, let them know who we are, and that we can draw them in, and they'll start attending the men's group meetings.
And it's no reservations. Is it the second Thursday?
Second Thursday of the month, right?
So no reservations. You just meet at Jay Christopher's on Johnson Ferry, and
8 o'clock. Yes.
Yeah. Just looking at the two of you and how close you've gotten doing this ministry, can you each take a moment and tell me what have you gotten out of it?
Wow. I think The thing that I've gotten out of this is that, what's the saying? God doesn't call on the able, he calls on the available.
Right.
And I'm not sure Lee or I would ever admit that we were capable of, starting a men's group. Right. I mean, I know I had 10 reasons why I thought it was a bad idea from the get-go. But I think the one thing I've learned is that you just be yourself, be authentic, be inviting, have an event that, again, brings people together, but maybe has a message involved. And it doesn't have to be a heavy-duty message. But one of the things you'd said earlier is it okay for, Christians to have a sense of humor?
Yeah.
Well, I hope that's the case,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
if it's not the case,
Right. We're in big
all
trouble.
4 of our ministers are setting a really bad example.
Right.
So I think we just kind of carry that to the men's group. I mean, we're very intentional, about the event and the speaker and, the what we, share with each other at each of these men's dinners. But we certainly don't take ourselves seriously, and hopefully, have an opportunity or give everybody an opportunity to share their thoughts on how they can make it better.
So I may get in trouble for this, but
Sure.
Lee, I've seen you get a little choked up
Absolutely.
at some of these men's
Listen,
events.
I wear
So
my
do you
heart
want-
on my sleeve.
I'm going to
Absolutely.
put you on the spot. You want to
Sure.
talk a little bit about getting choked up?
Oh yeah, you hear these stories, and let me back up just one second. And following what Bubba said just a second ago, our personal relationship has a lot to do with our success. Is that the fact we get along so well?
There is a chemistry.
There is a chemistry there. We trust each other. We love each other. It's just there, and we it's almost like he knows what I'm thinking, and he's shaking his head like, no, that won't work, and we'll all die. Okay, Bubba, we'll try that then. Okay, we're back up a second. No, but personally, yes, hearing Michael Owen from the Zone talk about his son's tragedy with drug addiction and death, and how he and his wife started this program, to help people going through recovery, not treatment, but through recovery, which is the hard part, and the types of things they're doing right now. And so Missy, the wife, spoke to the women's group,
Yeah.
and Michael, and I'm sure the story was consistent, but it was good for us to hear it from the from the father's perspective.
Absolutely.
Where the women got to hear it from the mother's perspective. And I think
Absolutely, yeah.
for us, that was very touching. And the day that Bubba and I went to the Zone early that week before he spoke with us, and got the tour and heard, really heard their stories directly from both of them sitting around the table in their office. And, it's just, you just think, there's just so many out there that haven't been found yet that need that help.
And I think we experience that in our sanctuary too. We're accepting of people, whoever, because we're all broken. We all have something that we regret or we're struggling with.
Yep.
And I think that's the sense of joy that we have in our sanctuary is we're all in this together.
Yes.
We're all believers, and we can get through this together. I think that, as we've talked before, there's something special going on in that room. And I'm so happy it's translated into both our men's and women's groups as well. Have you got, before we wrap this up, have you got anything on the horizon that you're thinking of doing? Anything new happening for the men's group?
You did ask that about 5 minutes ago, didn't you?
Did I? Yes. Whoops.
Well, and we didn't answer.
Yeah, no.
We had to think about it for a while.
Well, you can fill in blanks, but we've tentatively got planned a group, a joint get-together with the men's group at the synagogue this fall. And we don't know, what form that's going to take. There have been a couple of ideas about there, like bourbon and beef, and we've met with the head of the men's group at the synagogue. Great guy, super guy, and he's as excited as we are about getting these two groups together. So stay tuned for what that event looks like this
Absolutely,
fall.
yes.
Yeah.
And and to continue that discussion in a different perspective, and that is, meeting Matthew, who's the head of their men's group at the synagogue. We've also reached out to other churches and have met the individual that's responsible for their men's group. We've met the gentleman from St. Peter and St. Paul Episcopal, and we're going to continue to reach out to other churches because I just have this vision that there's something bigger out there that we can aspire to, and that's pulling all the men together in this community, and it be an interdenominational Judeo-Christian or association or organization that would serve the East Cobb community, and we could do it in tandem. And
that's a great idea.
So, and the other thing that we're thinking about too as a men's group is, everything we do doesn't have to be just for the men's group. We can do things as a men's group as a outreach, and having a picnic or something like that, where the whole church is, and in fact, homecoming coming up in October. The men's group has now accepted responsibility going forward to plan and deliver the homecoming lunch after church.
Fantastic.
So that was that kind of caught us off guard a little bit. That wasn't in the job description.
Divine intervention.
That's right. It's like, okay, just pile it on. We're ready.
There you go.
Give us your best shot.
I think you guys were also talking about a men's retreat or something, Bubba
Yes.
or Lee?
Well, it's in the planning stages right now. We were going to do something in the fall. We're not sure that's going to happen. But right now, we're just trying to figure out what that looks like. Who would be speaking, who would be moderating, where it would be. We got a couple of places in mind. But I think that James told Lee and me that we want it far enough away that people can't, leave at the end of the night session and go home. We want a captive audience for at least 2 days in an off-campus situation.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of beautiful spots just 2
Yeah,
hours away.
Yeah,
that
there are.
You can take people to.
There's some great spots. We looked into them, and we've gotten some prices, and it's all kind of based on quantity, and so we just need a little bit more time to pull it all together and make it work. But I think for us being able to do that, I think again we would draw guys from the church who are not active in the men's group right now and don't come to the breakfast, but would come to the retreat. So anything we can do that would fosters that brotherhood and that fellowship, we're all for that. And I think a retreat would give us that, that ability to do that in a collegial sort of fashion. Yeah.
So my last question is, so if someone has not attended any of your men's group events, I think there are probably a couple guys that haven't gone yet. Yeah. What would you say to them about coming along, and what can they expect when they walk in the room? Or
we got some intel from some of the wives, and we heard directly that the wives say, my husband would come if I came. And I said, well, you can't do that. And she said, I know I can't. And but she said, I don't know. We just can't get them out the door and get them there, without us being with them. So I just said, and I said it at church one day when I was reminding everybody the men's group was coming up. I said, ladies, I just need you to get him in the car, get him to the church. We'll get him out, and you can pick him back up again
right,
when we
we'll
finish.
take it from
We'll
there.
even bring him home.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
And if he's acts bad, he can't come back. So.
Right. And Julie, the other thing, if somebody's just casually interested, they can reach out to Lee or me.
Right.
And if they want to, kick the tires, so to speak, they can actually come to one of the meetings. It's an hour and a half out of their entire life.
Right.
That they may find out that this is an experience worth exploring.
Yeah, we have 2 exits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And listen,
Back.
Here's the thing: you don't have to be a member of this church to come to the men's group. And
Right.
we've got a lot of people that come every Sunday that haven't joined the church yet, that are will and want to. But the door is open to everybody, and I hope that somebody out, guys in the community that see this podcast, know that the door's open, and please come. We meet once a quarter. It's the 3rd Wednesday of the month, so just show up, or just Bubba and our contact information there. Let us know. We'd love to have you. And we're actually gotten to the point where our frequent members are starting to bring guests with them, which is that's what we want to have happen. So it's working out great. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Bubba.
You bet.
So
Thank
happy
you.
to
Glad
have
to
you
do it.
here.
Yes, thank you
and
for having
thanks
us.
for what
Yes.
you're doing for the church. See y'all.
you.